Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, and this guy dressed in orange right here, he's not the big orange bad guy, but he's another favorite person of mine. That is Tim, and this is Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, my brothers and sisters, we have got to talk about something that I never thought I would see on the New York Times. It turns out the left has some burnout around exhaustion fatigue and all sorts of things. We're going to break that down, and being in the gun world, we know about that exquisitely well. Then we're going to talk about the extreme shock value they're requiring to go to with talking about putting dead carcasses on TV, which is really twisted and messed up. And then we have a new segment at the end called Propaganda Blaster, where we do exactly that. We blast propaganda. You guys are going to love every second. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. With that, Tim, you have a specific glow about you today. Did you ride your motorcycle? Did you get outside in fresh air?
Yes, I did. I rode in, and it was glorious.
That's great.
We got to hurry up and finish this episode so I can get back out on two wheels.
That's fair. That is fair. I love how you always have a different vibe when you've ridden on the open road.
Yes, motorcycling is one of those passions.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it got you ready and pumped and primed, because we are about to talk about something. Burnout, Tim. Burnout of the lefties.
Uh-oh. Can't have them doing that. We got to keep them invigorated and going so we have things to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Can't have
Tim.
those guys burning out now.
What are we doing?
Started.
Oh, yeah. Man, we're just now. Man, I tell you what, you're absolutely correct. What am I thinking? Maybe we should just scratch this whole segment. There goes all our content. Oh, just kidding. They will always have something for us to talk about because they're zealots for gun control, and that's what we do. All right, Let's get into this, Dr. Button Pusher. This is number one from the New York Times, of all places, Tim. Anti-Trump burnout. The resistance says it's exhausted. Bracing for yet another election against Donald Trump, America's liberals are feeling the fatigue. Quote, we're kind of like crisis out. I don't even know.
You mean you're tired of the Russian spies and you know, like and random dossiers that just magically appear, you know, and you know, and then this phone call to Ukraine and I mean, it's just never ending. Oh, yeah, we can't forget about J6. I mean, I can imagine they're just crisis out. You know, they're such low key individuals. It's not like they ever riot, burn cities, flip cars over, murder people.
Too soon.
Oh, okay, sorry. Actually, not. But
I'm not, because I rode my motorcycle today. Yeah, just stating the obvious. Yeah, you know, they are so low key, as you said. And of course, we're saying that with tongue in cheek because the entire Tim. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, man. We're going on 7 to 9 years of nonstop outrage machine. I mean, right? Ever since Trump announced he was going to be running for office in 2015. I mean, like, they've been on the outrage since then.
Yeah, but you know what? This is normal. You know, so you had Bush 43, and after he left office, we got 8 years of Obama. Those entire 8 years, they blamed Bush 43 for everything.
Well, no, that's true.
This is not new. It's just that the subject matter has changed a little bit. We went from Bush is responsible for all things bad, which he kind of sort of was responsible for a few of them, but then now we've gone into, well, now we got Orange Man bad and you know, Russia collusion and he's taking bribes and he's doing this and he's doing that. And oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end. He wants to be a dictator. And they're just like, I think they're tiring of their own propaganda. I don't think it's an actual crisis, obviously, that they're burned out on. They're burning out on the narrative and the constant, like, super hyper. Oh my gosh, we're all going to die. And if this Orange Man gets in there, he's going to be a dictator. We're all going to die. We're going to be put in prison and we're not going to be able to do anything we want. And freedom's dead. Democracy's gone. Yeah, I can imagine that gets tiresome after what you said, 9 years.
I mean, I'm tired after doing it for 24 seconds.
I'm telling you, dude.
But you just hit something so powerful. This is so incredibly key to understand people, beautiful people, the Second Legacy. You get so burned out by having a crisis every 3 seconds, an existential crisis. Democracy is dead. This is the key. And understand, as we go forward, you're going to see this more and more and more. This is not going to change. You can quote me right now. They have to keep upping the shock value in order to scare you and get the same return on investment that they were getting before. If you become numb to the propaganda they've done on this spectrum right here, they've got to push it one step further in order to get the same return on investment. That's what we're about to talk about. You cannot run an entire movement or motivation or organization based only on fear. You cannot do it. It is not possible. It does not have that long-term availability. Now, it's intense in the short term.
Yeah. It's like in the military. You can't be on defense forever. You start to get lazy. You start to sleep on watch. Things bad start to happen. You can't just, so, and we talk about this also within the 2A realm, right? When you have people out there saying, oh my gosh, there's an assault weapons ban. Yeah, it has zero chance of passing, but look, an assault weapons ban. Oh my gosh, everybody panic, contact your reps. Oh my gosh. It's like, look, we can only do this for so long. So that's kind of one of the things that the tact we took early on with Second Legacy was like, let's take a look at what's actually out there, take a look at what the reps are actually doing, kind of assess what the actual likelihood of some of these things passing might be, and then call out the ones we're concerned with and put on the back burner those that we're not that worried about for that very reason, because you can't maintain that high level of amped upness for very long, forever, because you do get the burnout.
Exactly. But you know what's so dude, man, this is, you should ride your bike more often. This is amazing. So you just hit on something so key, a perfect example of what we're talking about right here, but on the gun right side of the argument. Mm-hmm. For 4 years, we've had, they're coming for our rights. They're going to take our rights. And they've been saying it. It's not imaginary. They have clearly laid that out.
They want
to, yes, they want to, right. However, look at what happened when Trump got elected the first time after Obama was in for 8 years, and he was railing against the guns for 8 years. Trump got elected, and what did we get? We got something called the Trump slump. Everyone relaxed on gun rights because they finally took a breather. You can't be outraged and this defense oriented for that long. And ironically, when that happened, you actually have more threats to your Second Amendment because all the energy was put on the front part.
Well, you get the old, he won't sign that. It'll never happen. It was kind of like, I lived through the 1994 assault weapons ban. And I remember being in gun stores and people are saying, oh yeah, Clinton's they'll never sign it. Congress will never pass it. Don't worry about it. Don't contact your rep. This is nonsense. It'll never happen. This is America freedom. And guess what happened? So yeah, you do have to pay attention, but you have to be able to get the lay of the land and assess things and focus your attention on the actual threats and disregard the chaff. Because that will suck you down a hole where you get this fatigue. And then you get, like you're talking about, the Trump slump. And that carried over not just politically, but that also carried over into actual gun purchases. The Trump slump wasn't just a political slump. Nobody was buying guns and ammo either. They're just like, oof, we don't have to hoard anymore because the threat's gone. I'm like, people, can we now start contacting our representatives and try to get something positive
the right
done?
Direction. Push it in the right direction. No, we all just took a break.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So in summation, and we're going to get back to this in a second, but this is an amazing rabbit trail we're on. In summation, effectively what we're talking about is because the outrage and the energy was put so hard on the front end that when the time came where we actually had the opportunity to take gun rights back from the left, we were too tired and exhausted to deal with it. You have to put all your energy in the right places, as you just alluded to. The reason, a little bit behind the curtain, we talked about, you and I, Second Legacy and the idea of it. The entire purpose was to put energy where it was supposed to be, the most effectual, where it was actually a threat versus every single crisis area, and bring all the information and all the available research to bear to put energy in the right directions. And that is going to be much more effective in a return on our investment than having everything be an existential crisis. The 1,000% tax on ARs, for example, that wasn't ever going to pass, but there was still a lot of outrage over it, and it's fine to be upset. But again, at the same time, they were trying to pass assault weapons bans and background checks and red flag laws and universals, something that's much more feasible versus a tax for a right. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's key to really focus on that. But I think that was an excellent point. Good. Well done, sir. You know what? I'm impressed every time. Well, now let me give you some more examples here of some quotes that I want to get your take on here. Number 2, quote, "Some folks are burned out on outrage," said Rebecca Lee Funk, the Washington-based founder of The Outrage, a progressive activism group and purveyor of resistance-era apparel. "People are tired. I think last election we were desperate to get Trump out of office and folks were willing to rally around a singular call to action, and this election feels different." The reason that one's important is she actually founded a place called The Outrage.
That's what I'm laughing at. It's like, merch. We're burned out on the outrage, says the founder of The Outrage.
The founder of The Outrage.
We're burned out on guns, says the manufacturer of firearms. It's like, these people are so daft, dude.
Really are, man.
It's like literally, I say this way too often. We are living the storyline, the plot line of Idiocracy. These people are so mentally ill and so out of it. I mean, that they would actually go out there and be quoted saying this.
Yeah, exactly.
We're burned out on the outrage, says the founder of Outrage.
It's so weird. Right. And it's almost comical. Now, here's some more. Check this out. Number 3. Quote, "We're kind of like crisis out," said Shannon Caseber, 36, a security guard in Pittsburgh, who called the prospect of a Trump-Biden rematch a dumpster fire. Not wrong, by the way.
No,
it's crisis fatigue for sure. I would agree with that sentiment. Everything's a crisis. Here's number 4. Quote, "They hear it every cycle. This is the most important election ever," said Leah Daltrey, a Democratic strategist. While she considers Mr. Trump an existential threat, she said people want to vote for something and not necessarily against something. I love how she did exactly what she's saying is a problem in that quote. Right. But on the tail end, that is an extremely important thing. We've said it on this channel a lot. People want to vote for something, and they want to vote and be a part of something, not vote against something and be part of something against someone.
That's what we have to do in our two-party system. My entire life, the only time I voted for the candidate I truly wanted was Ross Perot, right back during the Civil War. That was the only time.
Back in the day.
Every other time I'm voting against somebody, and you don't know how many times. For 20 years, I lived like within walking distance of my polling station. And I would sit on election day. I'm like, I'm not voting for McCain. I am not voting for McCain. I can't do this. And then I think, well, I could just write in Mickey Mouse, but that's making a mockery of our system. I could vote for a third party, which will never have a chance, or I can just hold my nose and vote for McNasty and hope for the best. And that's no way to vote, right?
No, it's not.
We need more than a two-party system. I would like to have an actual choice, and we can agree on something here. We have two candidates that are wildly unpopular. Nobody wants to see a rematch between these two.
In the either direction, it's either oh my God no or oh my God no. It just depends on who it is.
Trump has more energy around him for sure, right?
Oh, absolutely.
He has a very loyal following. Biden, I would say 90% of his voters aren't really excited. They pretend to be. They try to hype it up like, no, he's not really falling downstairs. They don't really make him walk up the short stairs because he has a problem stumbling and he doesn't know where he's at 90% of the time. No, he's got all sorts of energy. He's vivacious. Look at him sprint. He took 2 jogging steps away from the podium before he fell flat on his face and mumbled for 20 minutes. It's like nobody's voting for that. They're voting against Trump, and that lands in Biden's lap. That's all it's happening.
That's what
here.
happened. That's what happened in 2020. I mean,
absolutely.
That's exactly what it was. It was not a conversation around what's the best for our country. It was a conversation of who's going to destroy it the least. That was literally, and honestly, that kind of goes back to the Clinton era, like back to Hillary Clinton versus Trump. That was kind of the first time I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Because this is Trump 1.0, right? Like this is you don't know what's going to happen. Like this is interesting. So I had Clinton over here. And then I had Trump over here. I have a known, not happening, gross, not even a little bit. I don't like her at all. And then over here I had, that could be interesting.
I mean, you had the establishment crooked politician, and you had this potential huge wrecking ball that was promising to destroy everything and build it from the ground up again. And that was pretty exciting, although I'll admit this, I was a never Trumper. I did not believe for a minute he believed what he actually said because I had read his books.
Well, from the prior,
he was a Democrat.
Right. He was a Democrat prior, right.
And I had a hard time reconciling things I know that he had said in the past to what he was saying on the campaign trail. I'm like, this guy is the Manchurian candidate. I'm not buying this right now. Turned out, he really wanted to carry out much of the stuff he was campaigning on. I didn't trust him though. But I don't trust politicians.
Well, right.
So,
but see, and I think that's an important thing for the people watching. This is not a bash Trump, anti-Trump thing. That is legitimately an observation that you made based off of past statements, past styles, past decisions.
Yes.
In contrast to what's being said in the short term. I completely respect.
I mean, seriously,
objective view of that.
The Clintons and the Trumps intermingled. They went to each other's weddings and stuff.
They were besties.
Yeah. You had Trump going on Oprah Winfrey decades ago and her fawning all over him, begging him to run for president. So, there was a little bit of concern there for me.
Right.
But anyway.
And keep in mind, we're talking about 2015 going into 2016. We are not talking
Right.
about anything now, right?
No. This was the original, like,
Right.
what are we getting into here?
You know what that was? That was the time zone of, this is going to be the greatest country with the greatest gate, and it's going to be golden, and it's going to be great. And everyone's going, what's happening? Where am I? Anyway,
Right.
That was a different time. It was so much. That was back in the way back yesteryear. So now that we've chased 2 rabbits, that last one was a big rabbit. Listen to this. I think this is a fascinating quote back on that article. It's number 5. We've dealt with so many emergencies these past few years. National emergencies, perceived emergencies, real emergencies. It's just kind of like, that is not really a strong motivator for me anymore. This guy's a voter in Los Angeles. That's exactly what we just said. Fear cannot motivate for the long term because it loses its punch, i.e., increasing shock value. That's what everything that we are talking about is showing up in what these people are saying.
Right. Because look, you get desensitized. And this is something I remember them talking about years ago, when there was the slasher films that really became popular in the 70s and the 80s, right?
Uh-huh.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Freddy Krueger, and the more gory, the more people wanted to see it. But then the next movie had to be gorier than the previous movie to draw that audience back in. And it got to the point where it was just nothing but pure gore and there was no more storyline. It was just going from one scene to the next of just the most extreme gore they could come up with. And people finally burned out on it in its entirety because you couldn't make it any more gory.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Except
It's just like,
filming
that
a real
kind of
snuff
culminates.
film. Yeah.
Right. It kind of culminates in like Saw type videos where there is no real plot line. It's just who's going to get killed how.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what they're talking about here. And it's the absolute truth. I mean, it's so funny. We dealt with so many emergencies, perceived emergencies, national emergencies, and then actual emergencies.
Right. I know. I'm glad you got that. I love that one. It was like national ones. That was horrible. Perceived ones. That was not real. And then real ones.
Yeah.
Oh, God, guys. And the last one to wrap this up, I think this is a great quote. It's the very end, and this is what we've been talking about, number 6. A lot of us would like a more positive thing to motivate us, not just purely do this, else this bad thing is going to happen. Could not wrap it up better.
But this is American politics and has been for many years. It is. Nobody comes out and talks about what their plan for the future is. All they do is come out and talk about that person wants to be a dictator. That person's going to take your Social Security away. That person wants to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid. That person wants to do this. That person wants to, it's constant lies and fear mongering and empty promises.
I'm going to push back on that real quick. You ready?
Yeah.
There's been one president in my lifetime that I would consider on the broad spectrum of perception, not my perception, but perception in general. That was a transformational figure. And that was Obama. He got elected and he ran completely on something called hope and change. He never did anything about that candidate will do this to you. It was all about the vision that he cast for the party and also for the nation. Now, I would never vote for the guy. I do not like the guy. I do not like his politics. I just don't like him in general. However, he did run on the hope and change, and he's the only one that has run on that type of messaging platform in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's worth observing. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, in my lifetime, I remember when Lincoln in the 1858 Douglas debates, he was pretty compelling. He
was quite the orator.
Oh, dude, he was amazing. He pulled up on his train and we were all standing there, just got off our horses, took our dusters off. It was incredible. He was a very motivational speaker. I
miss those days. where a politician could stand on the back of a train car in the middle of a train yard with horses and people all around, giving one of the most quintessential speeches ever from a piece of paper that he wrote and jot down on the way to the rally. It's like, well, I'm going to put this thing on this piece of paper that's folded weird. We're going to call it the Gettysburg Address because we're near Gettysburg and stuff, so that should work. It's just like, it's a simpler time, Tim. It was a simpler time.
I miss the old days.
Oh, so there were elements that were nice. I mean, that was good. Now people just grab their phones and be dum-dums. But now, speaking of dum-dums, did you see that transition right there? Oh, my goodness gracious. This is segment 2. We are about to dive into some dum-dums. So remember the first segment that we just covered, Tim, in summation, basically shock value. You're losing the extreme approach is not really working anymore. Listen to this. here's some examples of that. This is number 7 regarding Kansas. This is the mayor. We can't be fully safe if people are freely walking around with even just a classic revolver. So that you sent me that because genuinely that's what they say. Like, well, now we just can't do guns at all because we can't truly be safe. They're trying to up the shock value. They're trying to move the Overton window forward. That's exactly what you're seeing across the board. You've seen Davey Hogg do AI, dead voices of children. We've seen what I'm about to show you here in the next clip. I've seen Shannon Watts do all sorts of extreme stuff, Giffords.org. They're all trying to vie for the same attention, but it's not working. So they have to go further to the left and more extreme to get the same responses. That's kind of the theme here, right?
Yep,
so
absolutely.
Let's just take all guns. Let's just take all guns because even revolvers are scary.
We're gonna move off the assault weapons and all this other stuff that we constantly rail against, and then we're just gonna say, oh yeah, and then handguns, because well, we just had that shooting in Kansas City where handguns were involved, and it wasn't assault weapons as much as they wanted them to be. It turns out that apparently they were not. And just for clarification, because I know they're gonna blow this up in the comments, I used to live there. I grew up there. So there is Kansas City, Kansas, which isn't what we're talking about. There's Kansas City, Missouri, which makes very little sense, but Kansas City, Missouri is a much bigger, well-known place, and that's where your major league teams and stuff like that are. So, and that's where this took place.
That is actually true. I kind of got some of that in my comments too. They're like, Kansas City's in Missouri. I was like, I don't think I said it. What?
No, okay, you said, and in Kansas, I'm like, no, this is Missouri, because Kansas City, Missouri is very left-leaning. Kansas City, Kansas is more right-leaning, like the Overland Park area. Woo-woo, shout out to my homies in Overland Park. But yeah, anyway.
If you had a water bottle right now, I would want you to just pour it on the ground. Anyway, one for my homies.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, what's a good conversation about going too far into the extreme for gun control when you can't just talk about John Mellencamp and talking about showing dead bodies on TV? I mean, what's that about?
Yeah. Right? Are we talking about that washed up rocker from the 80s that was caught sitting during the national anthem, stuffing his face with popcorn? Let's just call him by his real name, John Cougar, because it just makes his skin crawl as it should. John Mellencamp. Like, that's John Cougar. Johnny Cougar. Yeah.
Yes. It's that guy. Well, listen to some. He's being so pragmatic, Tim. Listen to this. This is the headline here. This is number 9. I'm not being callous, and I know it will be painful to see. But sad to say, I think it's the only way to shock America out of its stupor. Well, what could he be talking about? Well, maybe this is what he's talking about, number 11. Quote, if we as a country want to find the collective will within ourselves to change our gun laws, let's stop playing silly political games. Show the carnage on the news. Show the American people the dead children and others who have been struck down. Show us what guns and bullets can do to the human body. Well, that kind of fits right into that outrage shock machine, doesn't it?
Yeah. But these are the same people that when the pro-life groups show aborted fetuses, you can't do that. That's just disgusting and tasteless. But hey, we want to show dead children so we can ban guns. That's not disgusting and tasteless. That's necessary to bring America out of its stupor. So again, they're hypocrites. And yes, if they went forward with something like this, that would be a very leftist mind virus-y type thing to do. I mean, that is just disgusting. Because again, it takes us away from the actual debate and actual facts, actual statistics. And then it just devolves into, oh my gosh, look at the destruction, the horrible wounds inflicted. Okay, well, let's do the same thing with car crashes so we can, pass more restrictive safety belt laws? Maybe we want to ban alcohol. Let's show what the carnage after a DUI driver, a drunk driver has an accident.
Or show a liver or something.
Yeah, I mean, really, I can't even believe somebody would say something so stupid, but then we're talking about John Cougar. So go have a seat, John. They're playing the national anthem somewhere. Stuff your face. Jackwagon.
Commies.
I know he is. Ain't that America? That is a hammer and sickle you're wearing there, buddy.
Yeah, you went down the train there, John. Went down the train.
And I got to get my commie punch in for the day.
You got to. Got to get it in every day. It's either commies or some sort of phallic reference. Something's going to pop up. But
commie pickles. Okay. That's the next one.
Commie pickles. That's the worst. Well, this is number 12, and then I'm gonna show you why here. So, quote, same guy. The news media need to be brave enough to let Americans see what slaughtered children look like. Otherwise, I fear that too many perceive gun violence as an abstract, a story that's repeated every day to numbing effect. Mellencamp continued, or Cougar continued per your request. This falls in the category of you're going to lose the middle. This is something that we are seeing right now. Both sides, left and right, Tim, we've talked about this multiple times. They cannot continue their reigns of power without some sort of gaining in the middle, right? It's not possible. Mm-hmm. You've got far right, well, not far right, excuse me. You've got right, you've got left, about 30% each. Well, 35 to 40% are right there in that middle. If you start losing your return on investment on the far extremes of the left in this example, you're going to get even more extreme to get those same people to react and respond, whether it be donations, whether it be votes, whether it be rallies, whatever it is. Then, because you're going further left, you're going to lose more of the middle. They're jumping the shark.
Yeah. No, that's
my thoughts.
That's exactly what they do. And again, it's I just find this totally tasteless to even discuss this. The fact that he brought this up, it's so typical of them. It is. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It is. But there's reasoning though. Listen, this is from wise experience. This is the last one. This last torture thing I'm gonna do to you.
Okay.
The singer who questioned the Second Amendment on his 2023 song, saying, "Hey God," likened the situation to the Vietnam War, where protest against the conflict only increased when footage of the brutality of the war was shown on news broadcast. Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah,
that's the same.
Yeah, and that worked out so well, because what did that do? I mean, I don't know if it did or didn't, but I mean, I'm sure that had something to do with the riots and everything else, Kent State, and people getting shot and all the craziness.
Wait a minute.
And then the military stopped the embedding. What's that?
So there's a correlation.
I remember during the war in Iraq or Afghanistan, where they had Marines that were battling with some insurgents, and they had to go into a building. They had an embedded reporter. The Marines walk in and do what they do. They made sure that all the combatants were dead by shooting them, because many times they'll play dead or lay on a grenade or something like that. And they had an embedded reporter that showed that, and the outrage that came afterwards was just outrageous. Oh my gosh, they're shooting people that are defenseless. Now, 10 seconds ago, they were trying to kill me and my guys. So no, they're not defenseless. I just want to make sure they're dead. But see, that's why you don't embed reporters and you don't show dead children. It's tasteless. And then in the case of the military, you're keeping them from being able to do their jobs, because now they're scared to do their jobs because they're afraid they're going to get published in the nightly news, and then everything.
Well, it's the same thing as
they get death threats and everything else. Or in
the same thing as cops in blue cities. They won't arrest people because they're afraid of XYZ. They won't engage and they won't show up because they're going to get sued, or they're going to get arrested, or they're going to get blamed for something. So they just don't show up.
So they just don't do it.
You're spot on. They just don't do it because self-preservation takes over. Duh.
Because when the cameras start rolling and things get taken out of context or whatever, and look, crime and policing can be an ugly business. It just is.
Correct. It is, because you're dealing with criminals. Not all the time. Not everyone's insanely heavy in the criminal world, but it's just like anything else. Sometimes you have light traffic and sometimes you have heavy traffic. It depends on the circumstances of which you find yourself in, right? Like one day you might go to something where it's like, hey, there's a cat in a tree. Okay, that seems like low traffic. Hey, the next one is we're going to raid this house and we don't know if there's 18 guys with guns inside and drugs, or if it's just, someone chilling. We have no idea.
Yep.
I'm sorry. That's a different thing, but good
I
Lord.
know. But yeah, it does play into what Cougar was talking about.
It 100% does. Thank you for that support. I appreciate you. But you know what time it is now, Tim? It's time for a new segment.
Okay.
Look, we're going to put G3 over here, put a pin in it for a temporary second. We have something called the Propaganda Blaster. Good. You can take the wheel.
Oh, it's already happened? Okay, cool.
Oh, it's time. Yeah, it's already up. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Newtown Alliance, our friends over there. Oh gosh, those just giddy little gun grabbers that they are.
Oh,
what's that?
Look how happy those two are.
I know. I mean, there's Mushmouth and Cacklebox side by side. Oh, anyway, but what did Newtown have to say? Well, on April of 2023, we were proud to endorse Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, aka Cacklebox, for President and Vice President of the United States. In February of 2024, we continue to be proud of this endorsement. President Biden and Vice President Harris have done more than any other office in the last 3 decades to pass life-saving gun legislation and sign executive actions to protect our children and loved ones from gun violence in all of our communities. But we need to do much, much more, according to them. It's just been an amazing amount of anti-gun stuff that they've done for us, but we're not even close to being done yet, folks.
Right.
We must reelect Joe Biden and Cacklebox for president and vice president to finish the job once and for all. Let's end America. That's not what it says. I'm sorry. Finish the job on the efforts to end gun violence in America. It's the guns, people. It isn't the criminals. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so shocking that they would endorse these two. I mean, it's all because they hate guns and Newtown hates guns. And so they're just all happy together. Disregard the fact this man has absolutely devastated our country. People say, well, inflation's coming down. Yeah, but the prices aren't coming down. They're still going up. And even at 4%, that's still twice what it's normally at. And it's not going increasing. Backwards. I was just reading an article about 24,000 illegal Chinese immigrants were caught at the border this last year alone. That's more than the previous 10 years combined. What do you think the Chinese might be coming here for during the Biden administration? Military age single males. It's almost like maybe they're building an army here. Maybe. We don't know.
Maybe.
They
That's
don't
conjecture.
know. But hey, they hate
Allegedly.
guns. We don't care about fentanyl and armies rallying and being built in the United States by enemy nations. And we don't care about inflation. We don't care the fact that you can't afford to buy, food. We don't care that you can't afford to put gas in your car. We don't care about any of that. They hate guns. Go team.
Thank you for the go team at the end. That was the perfect cap on that Tim rant. That was glorious. I love impromptu Tim rants.
There he goes.
I was wondering if you saw me. I'm just like looking like Willy Wonka right now. Like, yeah, this is great. I love Tim rants. I need to come up with something that when you go on one, I like start crocheting or something. It's start getting my phone, start playing with it. Like Tim's on a good one. But yeah, like this is so insane. Now, to your point, and this is the only point that I'm going to give them on this, they are a gun control group. They are singularly focused on gun control. So they want to talk about these two who are, this is the part where it gets ironic, are all about gun control. Now, Tim, I'm really amazed that you went with that angle first on that Tim rant. I really thought that I was just sitting there waiting for you to bring up the fact that they passed the most comprehensive, logjam defying gun control in 30 years, which also does nothing at the same time, but it did everything, but it did nothing. But we need more. But well, you kind of did. But then you got stand-in army on me, and then
I did.
Fentanyl. It got
I was going that way though. I was.
You were on the road, and then you went skirt.
Rumble strip, hit the gravel on the side, and off I went.
But it was beautiful.
But I didn't bring up communists.
That's what I love. You didn't, because you did that earlier. You got your communist punch in, so you're good. But that's the big thing that I love about these people. And this is where the propaganda comes in. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And I think this is an important thing to point out and clarify. They're on one hand trying to say that they've done the most that's ever been done and it's incredible and it's insane. But on the other hand, it's nothing's been done. We need more energy. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Like you have to be at least some semblance of moderation. You can't just go, yay, no. But your choice. It just doesn't make sense.
They've banned everything. They've been amazing, most comprehensive anti-gun legislation in 30 years. Oh my gosh. We're saving children, but we need to reelect them because we haven't done enough.
Because we haven't saved the children. We did save the children, but now we haven't saved the children. So we need to save the children because outrage machines show up again. Are you guys picking up a theme what they're doing? Anyway, we have another one from your friend, don't we?
Yeah, let's jump over to K-12 database. The other Davy, not the hog.
The other Davy. Kids don't name your kids Davy. It's just
now in the comments we had a David say, "Hey, I've had the name David for a long time, and I'm not an anti-gunner." He's kidding. He's kidding.
I am kidding. I am so charmingly funny. I guess they still get so real.
David's a good biblical name. We're fine with it. All right. So anyway,
100%.
K-12 shooting database. All right. It spurred a $3 billion industry made up of active shooter training, consultants, surveillance technologies, and safety infrastructure. But some experts question the booming line of business and whether any of these strategies are effective at stopping gun violence, not crime, not violence, gun violence. It's the guns. They pull their own triggers, folks. But look at that. It's a $3 billion industry. And this goes back to, they seem to think that security does nothing. And the reason they're saying exactly that is because they're trying to say a good guy with a gun doesn't really change the outcome. And so that includes now police officers, security, and the regular old citizen that might be carrying a firearm. They have to knock them all over because they can't let one stand and come down on the others. So they just got to knock them all over. Security's a bad thing, folks. Security's never worked at an airport. Security doesn't work at the White House. It doesn't work at your local, whatever government building where they don't let you come in with guns. Security never works at sporting events. It just doesn't work. We just don't really need security. All we have to do, folks, is ban the guns. It's the guns. And then we can get rid of this $3 billion industry. We can get rid of the Secret Service. We can take out the TSA from airports, and we can just sing Kumbaya, hold hands, and run around in utopia.
I'm sorry. You figured out a way to get 2 Tim rants in one segment. That's impressive. That's impressive. I love what this guy does to you.
He's an idiot.
You just
I mean,
you hit idiots so are perfectly.
Funny. Yeah.
You hit it so perfectly, man. They are the thing that I love what you just said, and this is such a good point. Well done. They have to knock everything down, because they can't have one stand. If one stands, that implies that guns might be good in certain scenarios, so they have to knock them all down. Because the $3 billion industry made of active shooter training, consultants, surveillance technologies, and safety infrastructure, well, some are good, but some are bad, but some have guns, and some, no, we got to scrap it all. We can't have any security, because that implies we can do something about it, except take the guns.
Why spend billions on cameras and security guards and all this other nonsense? Just ban the guns. And then suddenly the world just changes overnight, and violence just goes away. Correct. And the evil in men's hearts just evaporates, and we all become loving little creatures.
Dude, you are on fire. In a good way.
These people don't live in utopia. They're just ignorant. It's literally, you'd read to this stuff, and if you can't see that the leftist mind virus is a real thing, and that it does bring about the most stupid in people that you could possibly ever scoop together into one little lump, like Davey here, he's a lump of stupid. What else can you say? That's what the leftist mind virus does.
Not a lump of stupid.
He's a lump of stupid. That's a t-shirt.
That's the worst. Good Lord. That's a t-shirt.
One of these days we're going to actually put some t-shirts up, folks.
Eventually we're going to do this. We need to have a list of the things we've said. Anyway, the thing that I think is so important is exactly what you just said, man.
Lump of stupid?
No.
It's not the lump of stupid. Okay.
No, lump of stupid is really good. But you have to understand that the left and gun controllers in general, which are a part of the left, so I just say I kind of encompass the left, all of them together. They are an ideology, progressivism, leftism, socialism, communism, all of them that are close to each other in that spectrum. They are all ideologies built on requiring destruction before they can build their utopia. Every single one of them, you have to destroy everything before building your whatever you want anew. You saw it in the Soviets, you saw it in the Chinese, you saw it in all the 20th century. This happened worldwide. They have to destroy everything, and they use vitriol, and they use rhetoric, and they use complete decisive tactics in order to do it. What we're seeing and what we just covered this entire segment, the entire episode, that's what we're seeing in a nutshell, Tim. We're seeing the destructive nature losing its punch, and they're having to up it. This is a pivotal point. Anyway.
Yeah, it is. It could get really, really ugly from here on out. I mean, it's a crazy world we live in, folks. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Second Legacy. Please like, share, subscribe, pass us around. Let your friends know that we're here. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.